I and my fellow meatbags, your third favorite alcoholic, RobinIArgh here. And if you weren't aware, Earth2 recently released a pre-alpha invitation video, kind of inviting us to take part in the pre-alpha, as well as showing us actual gameplay, progress, and kind of baselining our expectations as to things we might expect while on the pre-alpha, if you're lucky enough to be chosen. But let's get down to brass tacks. Here's 10 things you might have missed during that video. Number 1, sleep and rest, and the possible effects it has on your stats, and specifically in this case, stamina. Whether you're chasing your dinner or you're running away from the guy who's attempting to extend your car's limited warranty, you should get that checked out. Sleep and rest seem to play a pretty big part in Earth2, at least the pre-alpha. And we've seen examples of this type of stuff when it came to sprinting, jogging, sitting by the fireplace and contemplating your life, sleeping in a dinosaur-infested woods, or even players suffering from downright exhaustion and collapsing in the middle of the street. We don't know if this was a bug or not, but it is what it is. I'm really starting to get a need system vibe. There's a lot of games that do this, but what comes to mind for me immediately is Kingdom Come Deliverance, in which they require you to monitor your food, your sleep and rest, and the maintenance of your equipment to avoid being penalized by having reduced stats or something along those lines. If you were to ignore these systems, the penalties you might suffer would be maybe less max stamina. So if you run from a dinosaur in the woods, you're not able to run as long. Or maybe stamina recovery is reduced, meaning after you've run until you're exhausted and you had to wait for your stamina to go back up, maybe it would go back up slower, which overall means you're pretty much dinosaur food. In addition to this, where you slept mattered. So if you decided to sleep on the comfy and beautiful scenic floor of the woods surrounded by dinosaurs and somehow survive the night, the stats that you recovered would be less than, say, if you slept at the fanciest hotel you know. A Holiday Inn? Is that fancy? I don't know, man. I'm so out of touch. But either way, that's something to keep into consideration when it comes to survival. In addition to this, we touched on maintenance of your equipment. What another fantastic way to reinforce that resource economy by requiring players to use resources to extend the life of their equipment. Number 2, building. That's right, building, baby. And I'm not talking about those city-owned structures that we likely won't have access to in the pre-alpha. I am talking about certified, pre-alpha, survival buildings, which you can see here and here. And what's interesting about this is that one of those structures looks like it would be temporarily crafted to rest in maybe a remote location, while the other looks like foundation in which you could potentially build more on top of it, or it could be the rest structure on an uneven surface because it was in the blooper reel. But either way, the idea that you could build something a little more grand is very appealing. In addition to this, we saw that some of these structures were built next to mentars, and early on we heard rumors that it was possible you would need to be on own land to be able to craft things or see certain things. So this would be a great way to encourage players to buy tiles in obscure locations. Number 3, cooking. And I don't care if you accuse me of reaching or forcing this one in. There is a fireplace. That is all I need. By Odin's beard, if we have learned nothing from Ark Survival, Conan Exiles, Enshrouded, Palworld, and hundreds before them and hundreds after them, it's that where there's a fireplace, there is cooking. It would be harder to think of a game that has a fireplace without cooking. Mark my words, this is evidence. Number 4, equipment. Okay, and this one might be obvious, but I need to get to 10 somehow, right? And we've seen evidence of paragliders that allow you to glide down mountains. We've seen the rocket arms. We have seen weapons. And those seem to have the option to be displayed on your back. I don't know if those are going to work with capes and stuff, but, it is what it is. At the very least, it shows that we likely have an inventory. Moving on. Number 5, default avatars, or also known as ethereal beings. I know some players are team never buy skins no matter what, and that's okay. But we saw the base avatars running around in the pre-alpha invitation video multiple times, and they actually look really cool. You load it up with some modular clothing, which again, you can earn while playing the game for free, then it's going to look really good. It's no Pirate Robin Hood, but what is? Number 6, dinosaurs. And I realized that many people are aware that dinosaurs were there and that we had warning in the December video, but a lot of people did not know there was a dinosaur in that video. So I'm here to point that out for them. If you know it, pat, pat, pat. There we go. Short and sweet, dinosaurs. Number 7, new clothing options. I like skins. Don't judge me. I almost canceled a flight once I realized there was an M&M skin going up on Fortnite, okay? Even though I play once every other month, maybe. But the skins I'm talking about, or at least the clothing options, we saw headphones and a backpack. And whether or not that extends beyond cosmetics, who knows? Maybe the backpack could extend your inventory. Come to think about it, I think we've seen camouflage backpacks in earlier videos as well. So it sounds like we're going to have multiple options on this front, which is really cool to me. Number 8, interesting avatars. We continue to see a lot of returning cast from the odd avatar world, which are cool and unique. But before, when these characters would show up, there was an explanation that many interesting characters are used for testing purposes. But as they're being shown in the pre-alpha video, I'm wondering if they are starting to be more than that. Number 9, a living, breathing world. Question mark. At the end of the pre-alpha video, we see a group of players running around what looks to be in exploration mode. And as they run by, you see a settlement on the side that has citizens walking about, enjoying their lives, cars moving around that they can see as they pass by. And that makes me wonder, are we as players going to be able to see other players who make structures, fireplaces to cook, places to sleep? Will we be able to see that as we run about the world, even if we're not in the same server or instance? This is more of a question and less of an observation, because though we saw something like that, I don't know if it's enough to say it's gonna be there. Last but not least, number 10. They intentionally butchered fishing. I felt some kind of way when I first saw this last one, but it took me some time to recover. I thought the animation team isn't so poor that they wouldn't realize what they had done wrong. I know for a fact there are several fishermen on that team. So for me to not see a line leave the pole, to not see a bobber hit the water, and to see a cast attempt so poor that it mirrored me trying to throw with my non-dominant hand, oh man, I was mad. But I realized it was on purpose. I think they're saving this for us to discover in game. Like, why ruin all the secrets or to reveal in another video? I think fishing's going to have its own mechanics associated with it. It will be its own minigame. So there was no reason to ruin it yet. There's no way. That's the only way I sleep at night right now. It's the only way that I can justify closing my eyes. Overall, I am super stoked with what we've seen so far, but I'm also cautiously optimistic, and it's kind of because of this message that wasn't in the video right here. Basically, when asked if avatars have stats or levels that can increase over time, I'm not sure if they meant to say like accounts that can increase their levels. Basically, Shane said no. And when I see survival mechanics on a game, platform, whatever you want to call it, I get giddy, because the majority of times that means levels. And as a guy who put years into RuneScape 3, I love the abusive grind. If it makes my character a little more efficient at a task, if it gives him some weird cosmetic, even if it's just a cape that lets everybody else know you put an unhealthy amount of time in a skill, I love that you're rewarded for your time on the platform. And I think that's my big fear here, is that I hope that they reward players who spend the time on the platform rather than the players who can just simply spend money. And leveling up is a great way to do that. But in their defense, they're not supposed to be the main game, in my opinion. That's how I imagine it, right? If they're a gateway to other experiences, I guess they don't want to dominate the platform. Is that a weird way to think about it? I don't know. Did you catch all of these details? Is there anything that I didn't cover that I absolutely should have? Let me know. I am RobinIArgh. Please like, subscribe, and all that fancy stuff, and have a drink for me. Cheers, mates.
A drink to that. Or anything, really.